All right. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Sweat the Bed podcast brought to you by OddsJam.com. OddsJam.com is our sponsor. And if you haven't checked them out yet and you are a sports bettor, you need to go check them out. There are so many useful tools on OddsJam.com. There's positive EV alerts. Those are the types of bets where you have the edge and they help you set up for long-term profitability. So you have to understand what positive EV is, and that's what OddsJam is all about. We have other awesome tools like easy bet trackers. We have easy line shopping, arbitrage opportunities, all those things, guys. So go check out oddsjam.com. We are the co-hosts of the Sweat the Bed podcast. I'm Andrew Kim, aka the ParlayDoc, and here with me is Matt, aka Jedi Modi. What is up, Jedi? How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. We were recording this on Tuesday, October 18th. Bittersweet night because the Sixers lost to the Celtics, which always hurts. But I've decided that I'm putting 100% of my effort into the Phillies run. So I don't know how much you follow baseball, but the Phillies are currently up 1-0 in the NLCS. If they win, they will go to the World Series for the first time since I was a junior in high school or senior. I can't remember, junior or senior in high school. So I've just decided the Phillies are getting all of my energy. The Eagles have a bye week this week, so the Sixers putting them on the back burner until they decide to show up for a game.
Well, I'm telling you now, not because I'm just agreeing with you because you're my co-host, and I've apparently been kind of an honorary Eagles fan this season. But I'm rooting for the Phillies just because of a Chicago connection of Kyle Schwarber.
Schwarber. I mean, he hit I don't know if you were watching. Probably not. He had an absolute dong, like 488 feet. Just absolutely annihilated it, tattooed it. It was erotic to watch.
Dong and erotic. There you go. So if when the Phillies win the World Series, when they win,
yes,
can I interest you in a Kyle Schwarber autograph rookie card? Because I do have one. So
you might be able to. Be able to. We'll have to we'll haggle on the pricing a little bit.
Put it this way, Matt. If the Phillies win the whole thing, and you heard it now on this recording, I'm going to send you a Kyle Schwarber rookie card for free. I'm going to send that.
I can't.
No. I'm going to send you a Schwarber rookie card if the Phillies win it. So there you go. Okay.
All right, there you go. And I'll sell that for money. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
All right, guys. So what we got in store for you today, we are looking at NFL week, what is it, 7, right? Week 7, I think.
How about that? Gosh,
week 7. Geez, week 7. Who knew? So we're going to be talking about NFL week 7. We're going to be talking about 3 primetime games, all 3 primetime games, and one of the non-primetime games, the Chiefs at the San Francisco 49ers. So those are the 4 games we're going to cover this week. And then we will go over our best bets. And thank God we had a positive turnaround where I think both of us went, 2-1 last week?
We both went 2-1. I just need to not complain, but the one I missed was a horrible beat. And I mentioned this on the live stream. For those of you podcast listeners, I had the over in the Falcons 49ers game, over 42.5, 35 points at halftime. The Falcons score on their first drive to begin the second half. There's 42 points scored halfway through the third quarter. No points the rest of the game, not even a field goal. So I had chalked that one up to a W, and it was the only one in the 1 o'clocks. So my other 2 were in the 4 o'clock. So I was like, I'm starting my week with the win, and then I just need the Bills and Seahawks to cover, and we get a 3-0 week. And I took my energy away from willing the points to be scored in that game. So no points were scored. I take direct responsibility for not continuing to channel my energy into that game until more points were scored. So it's my fault. I'll be better this week. But that one hurt me a lot.
I had the opposite luck where I'm sitting there like, oh my God, I'm going to just have a losing week again by swinging, one game. And luckily, at the end, I had the Bengals and I thought that was going to be the one I was going to lose. And at the end of that game, just that little pass to the left to Chase, where he shrugged off that tackler. And I'm like, oh my God, thank God that you went in and you gave me that cover.
I know.
It's like, oh my God, so lucky. That's what it comes down to, guys. Sometimes you get bad breaks. Sometimes you get lucky breaks. Good Lord.
What were your 3 again?
I had Bengals -1. I had the Bills -2.5.
That's right. We both had the Bills.
Yeah, and then I had a chalky parlay. What was it? It was the
Oh, and they
goddamn.
both, that's right. It was not, I'm sorry.
It was Ravens and
49ers, and they both
God,
lost. What a
God.
weird week. I will say
Yeah,
I think this coming week is going to be very chalky in terms of the favorites winning and covering, because the Giants beat the Ravens 6-point underdogs. The Packers lost to the Jets like 7-point underdogs.
Yep.
The Steelers beat the Bucks like 7.5-point underdogs.
Yep.
I can't. I'm trying. There are other upsets that I can't remember off the top of my head, but that just tells me that this week is going to be very chalk heavy, basically.
Yeah. No, I could see that. I can see that. So, but we will go over those. And for those of you who follow us on our YouTube channel, which I highly recommend, don't just listen to the podcast here for the full length episode podcast weekly, but join us on live streams, on Sunday mornings before the early slate. And then we also do, right before the primetime games on Monday nights and Thursday nights. And sometimes when we try to do some Sunday night ones. Because look, the other night, I will brag, we got that Dulcich plus 850 touchdown. He was the first guy to score. I saw a bunch of tickets online. I was just like, man, some people were even crazier than me, and they
first touchdown. Yeah,
they bet him to score first touchdown at like plus 42, plus 4,500. I'm like, that takes balls. I mean, I thought I had balls for taking an anytime TD at plus 850, but good God, I saw some people throwing like $100 on like first TD. Good God. But, happy that some people out there managed to listen to us and sprinkled some on that at plus 850. Can't always get those, but it's nice when we hit them. So that was a bright spot in another not super exciting game. It wasn't as bad as I thought, but
it was good in the first quarter. We thought, oh, maybe Russ is coming out of his funk.
Yeah.
Nope. Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. So, all right, guys. Anyway, so let's kick it off with our traditional sweat, no sweat segment where each of us gives each other a statement and see if we think it's a sweat or no sweat. So I'll kick it off. So Greeny on ESPN, or Mike Greenberg, says that when Dak Prescott comes back and starts playing again for the Cowboys, which is likely to be this week, it seems like, he says that the Cowboys are the absolutely clear NFC favorites to make it to the Super Bowl. So is Mike Greenberg on crack, sweat or no sweat?
I mean, I could understand the argument if you think they're favorites, but if anybody's saying that anybody is a clear favorite, is just trying to get a reaction. You could if someone said the Eagles are the clear favorites, I would say, I don't think it's clear,
Sure.
I just think that someone's trying to get a reaction. So, I mean, that's dumb. I think people are forgetting Dak is good. He's also very hit or miss. He was horrible to end the year last year. He was terrible in the playoff game against the 49ers. He was terrible in week 1 against the Bucks, which people forget. I could easily understand and respect the argument that you think the Cowboys are favored. If you watch that game and you say Cooper Rush held them back, Cowboys are better than the Eagles, fine. I won't argue. I'll understand that point. But to say anybody's a clear favorite, it's just someone being hot takey on the internet. It's a Skip Bayless take.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think you can make arguments that they have a shot. But
his
proclamation was they are the clear-cut favorites.
Yeah, that's dumb. That's dumb. I mean, the Eagles still scored 26 points on the Cowboys defense. So the Cowboys defense is very good. And the Cowboys themselves are very good. But you couldn't even say the Bills are the clear favorite because the Chiefs could easily beat the Bills. So
Yep.
Anyways.
Okay. So no sweat. He's on crack. So
no sweat.
I'm glad that we clarified that. So.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
All right. What do you got for me, man?
Mine's actually NBA related because my mind is on the NBA.
Ooh, okay.
I went through my season predictions. I have the Bucks winning the title. Sweat or no sweat?
Oh, the Bucks winning the title. Oh man. I'm gonna say sweat. I'm gonna say sweat.
Really? So. Okay. So my follow-up question: who's your pick?
Oh, my pick? God, I mean, man, I think it's good Lord. I know this is lame, but I think it's still gonna come down to. I think it's still going to come down to either the Celtics or the Warriors again.
You think even with the Ime Udoka news, Ime Udoka, I always butcher his name. You still think that the Celtics are the favorite?
Yeah, I just think that, as good of a coach as he was, there's just so much talent, and I like the addition of Brogdon. I mean, I know he's not the same player he once
He's
was,
injury prone, but he's a good player.
but he's in this role, he doesn't need to be acting as if. I mean, he was never the like superstar 1 or 1A, but he doesn't need to even try to be that. They just need him to be a complementary piece, and he is probably one of the best complementary pieces that you can get, honestly, at least in the market that was there. That I think that's a big upgrade for their roster. So I think with a move like that to really kind of solidify, like I think he can facilitate. At times he can rebound a little, he can score some. And at times, like, the offense can get stagnant for them, especially kind of during those like second unit runs and minutes, that if he can just kind of fill those gaps a little bit and just solidify just those scoring droughts that you would see sometimes last season, I think that could be the difference maker to get them over the hump this year.
Yeah.
So I do feel, minus, some injuries, I think the Celtics in my mind are the favorites in the East. I still think the Warriors are the team to beat in the West, as lame as that is. I would say I would give I'm going to say that the Celtics raise their level, and this is the year that the Celtics might take it.
Ugh, that hurts a lot.
I know, and I know you're an anti.
Boston sports they're horrible. It's the worst. I mean, if I don't know anything about the coach that Joe Mazzulla or whatever the guy's name is. Everybody says he's a good coach. He's 34 years old, and that's like a terrible situation to come into. So I just think that's too much to overcome. Like, not only losing your coach, but the way in which they lost him. Yeah, they won tonight. They looked great against the Sixers. I'll give them that, but it's game one. I'm not taking anything away from game one. And I just think, like, again, it's in like a playoff series. Udoka was so good scheming up their defense, and their defense is talented in terms of the players, which obviously is the most important thing. But I just think in a playoff series, it's going to be too difficult. Coming away from that, coming out of that Udoka situation is just so weird. So I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm not expecting it.
I think it'll be tough. And I'm stating the obvious. If they're going to have to face the Warriors, if it's anyone else but the Warriors, I think the Celtics will demolish anyone but the Warriors.
See,
anyone else in the West, just because of what you said, right? I think Steve Kerr brings that factor, that coaching difference. And if it's anyone but the Warriors, I think the Celtics will steamroll anyone else from the West in a 7-game series.
Yeah. See, I mean, we have plenty of time to talk about the NBA. I disagree with you. I think that the Celtics, as good as their finals run was, and it was good, my opinion is, if Chris Middleton was healthy, that the Bucks win that series. Like, they're the Bucks' second best player, their best ball handling option in terms of scoring, missed that entire series, and they still took it to 7 and had a 3-2 lead. So if Middleton plays, I think that the Bucks win. Granted, the Celtics are still an incredible team. I would do anything to have a team as good as the Celtics. Like, I think talent wise, they're clearly better than the Sixers. And I just, I don't know. I mean, like, I wouldn't be surprised if the Clippers won the title. I wouldn't be surprised if the Nuggets won the title. So anyways, you don't have to get into a whole NBA thing, but yeah, my mind is definitely on some NBA futures. So glad that's why I brought it up.
I think in the East, I don't think Philly's deep enough, as fun as they are. I think in terms of depth and balance, it is going to come down to Bucks Celtics, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I agreed with you before the Udoka news. I think the Bucks are in a tier of their own, and then I think Sixers, Celtics, like the Nets. Who knows with the Nets? But like the Heat, I think are going to take a step back from being the 1 seed last year. Yeah. So yeah. Anyways.
All right. Okay. Why don't we jump in then to the 4 games that we picked? So again, the primetime games. And then the Chiefs at 49ers. So we'll just go in chronological order. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of our show. Let's start off with the Thursday night football game. Another,
oh my God,
epic. How do they make these selections? I am going with your theory that it's just like, we just don't care, and we're making it a point to give you the worst product possible. So we have the Saints at the Cardinals. So right now, as things stand, the Cardinals spread is about -1.5. You can actually just get minus 107 money line on each side on points bet. So it's essentially just like literally an even pick 'em. The total is set at about 44.5. Just some key news factors to kind of just set the table here. It sounds like Jameis Winston is scheduled to return. It sounds like there's still question marks at some of the Saints receiver positions about people being healthy and will they be back in time for this game. DeAndre Hopkins should be returning, but I guess the schedule's not doing any favors. It's because it's Thursday night, so it sounds like he may only get a couple practices in, if even. I mean,
they only practice like one day on a Thursday night. They have like a walkthrough, not real practice Tuesday, and then they have another walkthrough, not real practice Wednesday.
Yeah, so I guess the question mark is if he's even back and playing like they're saying. I mean, how much of an impact can he make on a short week like this where he may only practice literally once, right? I mean,
yeah, and they lost Marquise and they lost Hollywood Brown. He's out.
Hollywood Brown. So they lose Marquise Brown to injury,
and then they get Hopkins.
And they bring in Robbie Anderson. It sounds.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't think he's going to play. There's no way that short turnaround. I don't think he's going to play.
Well, with desperation,
I mean, a team as big of a train wreck as the Cardinals are, and everything is on the table. But I would be surprised if he played. To me, I think that the Andy Dalton, I think it's a benefit to the Cardinals if the Saints start Jameis Winston. In my opinion, Andy Dalton has been legitimately good. Like he's been good. The 3 weeks that he's played, whatever, since Jameis has been hurt, he has been legitimately good. And Jameis was awful. The games that he played, he was terrible.
Yeah, he was. He had that weird little. I think it's too much of an overstatement to call it a mini renaissance. I mean, he had those flashes last year, and they were
good last year. Like he to me, that is like the most untrue thought that Jameis Winston played well last year. Like if you look at the stats, the stats just simply don't bear it out. He had a good game, a weird good game against the Packers in week 1 where he did pass for less than 150 yards, but he threw 5 touchdowns. So everybody was like, Jameis, like 5 touchdowns, he's back. Yeah, but like if you look at his games, like he just didn't, he simply wasn't good. And I got so frustrated with that narrative that like that he played well because he didn't.
Yeah, I think it was more, with the eye test, he was playing within the system, and for a small segment, he wasn't like super turnover prone, and then the wheels just kind of fell off. But so here's the thing, it's just there's not much to analyze here, guys. The Saints are 18th in offense, 18th on defense in terms of DVOA, so literally like slightly below average. And then the Cardinals are 26th on offense and 20th on defense. So we have 2 below average teams battling it out for relevancy, basically. I would say Cardinals more so desperation. Like they are desperate to just salvage anything at this point. So you have a desperate team versus, injury riddled, just kind of depleted team. So if the Cardinals can't beat a depleted Saints team, is it time to just say the season is basically a wash at this point? I mean, if
it's been time, but yes. The Saints are so banged up. Yeah. Michael Thomas is out. Marshawn Lattimore's out. Jarvis Landry's out. Dalton, like if Jameis comes back, he's missed a month. If Dalton's banged up with the back injury, like he's limited in practice with the back injury. And like that Lattimore thing is a big deal with Hopkins coming back, assuming Hopkins plays like a normal complement of snaps. So yeah, I mean, I didn't have a great feel for this one. Like handicapping it, I found incredibly difficult because of all the uncertainty in the injuries. My one question to you is this going to be another classic Thursday night game where we just want to claw our eyes out, or do you think it has a chance to be fun?
Oh God, I think this is, unfortunately, I think this could be another claw our eyes out type of game. I mean, unless you get joy out of, which I guess sometimes I do, if you get some small joys out of watching Taysom Hill just run repeatedly, or, I mean, look, it really depends. If Hopkins is actually going to play a full complement of snaps, which I don't think he would, coming back with such limited practice. Like, so in my mind, if it's going to be like some kind of limited snap count, you don't have Marquise Brown, you brought in some random Robbie Anderson who may not even play, or maybe he's going to run one package or something.
Yeah.
and the Saints being so depleted, this just has ugly game written all over it, in my opinion. That I think this is going to be another brutal Thursday night clunker, unfortunately. So
I do too. I think it's going to be, yeah. And it's just, I mean, it's just for me, it's just like, who cares? Like, who cares? It's the most boring game of two teams not going anywhere. It's like at least the Thursday night football game last week was spectacularly awful that it was entertaining. And those teams, like, you knew were bad, so there was like, it was like whatever. These two teams like are trying to be good.
yeah,
Whereas the Bears and Commanders aren't. So you can just enjoy the misery and the sack fest, whatever you want to call it, that we were watching in that game. But like the Cardinals are trying desperately to be good. They traded a first round pick for Hollywood Brown. They like just extended their head coach and GM. And the Saints traded a first round pick in this past year's draft to the Eagles. They traded up to take Chris Olave. They like are desperately trying to be good. And they're both sitting at 2-4 with like no future. To me, this is just, like, there's nothing redeeming about this game at all. Except for like Alvin Kamara's fun. Yeah, I'll say that. Alvin Kamara's fun.
Yeah. I've always been a Kamara fan. So, all right. Well, we'll keep it short here because none of us seem to be super excited about this particular primetime game. So, what do you got for? It sounds like you don't have a strong feel, but what are your leans for any of the main markets right now on this game?
Yeah, I settled on Saints plus 2.5. You can get them on a couple books at 2.5, minus 115 on Tipico, minus 120 on MGM. So you have to accept a point. But I mean, like I said, I'm not touching this game unless something pops up on the EV page. Like if the lines change dramatically one way or another, I might bite. Yeah. But as of right now, I don't have an official play. My prediction is Saints plus 2.5, but there's not a lot of confidence in that at all.
Yeah, I mean, same thing. I went back and forth, and I think ultimately, because I'm not sure how much of a factor Hopkins could be on a short week and just coming back, that it's insane to me that with even the Saints being so erratic in who's on the field and depleted, that they're actually, almost like one standard deviation above the Cardinals, like on offense.
Cardinals are a total joke.
It's just insane to me that I just feel like I have no choice but to say somehow the Saints can manage to find a way to keep this thing close. That's literally my only rationale. And go ahead. No, all the things that I said about this is due to be a clunker. That should automatically mean like smash the under, but I don't even know about that because both teams aren't that good on defense either. That because of that factor, I don't even have confidence in the total. So I am going to say I don't have anything on this game. If I were to pick, I would go with Saints spread, just like Matt was saying. If I had to pick on the total, I don't feel confident on it either because they both suck on D, but I guess I would lean on the under just because they both suck, but they both suck so bad they might not be able to stop each other. So, but I would just say because of these primetime trends, short week, injuries, I would just go with the under, I guess. But those are the only slight leans I would have, honestly.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with you on the under. Also, I'd have it be a no touch. To me, I think like the Cardinals are like a horribly run, horribly coached, just like horribly managed team that in a game of uncertainty, like I don't think the Saints are good, but I think they're at least like a well-coached, respectable organization. Yes. So to me, like I'll trust them, even though they're traveling on a short week, who's like, they're banged up. There's like a lot going against them. But at the end of the day, like I just simply don't trust Kyler or Cliff to do, like, they're going to have some sort of clock management gaffe. They're going to make some boneheaded mistake. And the Cardinals, like, they just played Seattle, but the literal worst defense in the entire NFL. They didn't score a single touchdown. They only got 3 points, and it was the first drive of the game. It's like just spectacularly dreadful. The Cardinals are.
Yep. So ugly game. And look, guys, I know sometimes when you listen, you're like, why are you saying you don't have any money involved? Pass. Sometimes it's better just to pass when you don't feel confident about something. So
you shouldn't bet just to have skin in the game. Like, I'm sure we'll end up having something for our live stream. Like, we'll get an SGP. Well, like some, player props aren't posted yet. So like we'll have something, but
nothing wrong with passing if you don't like something confidently.
Just to have something on the line. Yeah. I don't think it's worth it.
Okay, so now we'll go opposite end of the spectrum. A potentially better game here would be on Sunday, the Chiefs at 49ers. So right now, Chiefs are at -3 in terms of the spread. You can get Chiefs money line at -155, 49ers at +140. Total is sitting at 48.5. So some key news here. The 49ers have been riddled with injuries.
Oh my
God, it's like so many different injuries. The latest that I'm reading from some Niners, like from some San Francisco Newswire reports, they're saying Bosa, Trent Williams could return, decent chance maybe of returning for this week. So
yeah, who knows?
Who knows? But just to factor that in, it's still up in the air. Will Bosa be back? Will Williams be back? Not really clear just yet, but those are some, in my opinion, key injury news reports to kind of keep track of as the week goes along, because that could be the difference maker in your decision making. So just keep that in mind. There's like a million injuries on the 49ers side, but those are some of the key ones I would keep an eye on that could change over the course of the week, basically. So, but look, I think the difference here is let's just read real quick. Chiefs number 2 offense. Their offense is rolling. God, we talked about this last episode. Their defensive rankings are just sliding like a freaking landslide.
It's gone from 9th to 14th to 15th to 28th. It's right now 28th.
Oh my God. We were shocked that they were that high, and now we're not shocked because this is kind of where they were last year. So
yeah, I will admit, I didn't think their defense was that bad against the Bills last week. Like, to drop from 15th to 28th, like they held the Bills to 24 points. They had and the Josh Allen scored at the very end of that game. So I was shocked that their defense dropped that much against a top 5 offense. But not that I DVOA I almost take as like the gospel. So I don't necessarily think that their stats are wrong. I just want to know what analytically went so wrong for the Chiefs to only give up 24 points and still have dropped 14 spots.
Yeah, 13, apparently I don't fully understand the DVOA formula, because in my mind, at least, I thought, and I'm simplifying this to like guerrilla math here, is I thought even if you gave up 24, the strength of opponent being so high that if anything, that shouldn't make you slide back as much as if you gave away 24 points to, let's say, the Chicago Bears, right? Which would be kind of embarrassing. You know what I'm saying? I almost thought that you factor that in, that you wouldn't slide back as much, right?
It does. And they held the Bills to under their projected team total. Their team total was 28.5 or something like that, 29.5. And they held them under that. So yeah, I don't know. I trust DVOA. They're certainly smarter than we are. It's confusing to me.
Yeah, well, we should get one of their analytics guys to come on, and we should have him as a guest to explain it to us. That's actually not a bad idea.
We can ask them. That's a good idea. This game is tough. My question to you, what are the 49ers? I simply don't know. They're 3-3. Here are the teams they've lost to: the Bears, the Broncos, and the Falcons. And all of their wins are by I think their win by the least amount of points is by 15 against the Rams. They won by 20, by 15, and by 22. But then they've lost to these horrific teams. What? I don't understand. What are the 49ers?
Yeah, look, I think we could sum it up as we know the 49ers are a defensive juggernaut, and then an offense that has no identity. That's the only thing I can say right now is, the Bears game, I don't know. It was a freaking monsoon, and you have that
was Trey Lance.
But there's no excuse when you have someone, and look,
the Bears played in the same. It's not like the Bears when they were on offense was a sunny, rosy.
Well, yeah, no, exactly. And then it's just Jimmy G's Jimmy G. It's but still, I don't think there's an excuse with his level of experience and what we know that he's been able to do. He's not a superstar. He was a backup for a reason, and we're seeing why. You see these random flashes where he plays like Kirk Cousins-esque. I don't know if that's a compliment, but a good Kirk Cousins type of game. And then you see other games where he can't hit a guy with a 6-yard pass in the flat. It's just the easiest read and the most wide open guy. He skips him in his progression and goes to someone else. It's just mind boggling. And I think it's the offense. The offense is so broken, and I don't think there's enough trust in the QB to do what they need to do that Shanahan's just trying to figure out, how do I just make us not suck on offense to just stay in these games for our defense to like win it for us, basically.
I mean, and their defense is good, but like they just gave up 28 points to the Falcons, and the Falcons could have kept scoring. Like the Falcons were up by 14 in the halfway through the third quarter. The 49ers couldn't score. So the Falcons said, all right, well, we'll just run it every play. Like we're not going to need to score either.
Yeah. Here's the thing though. I think the Falcons are much better than we thought.
They might be better than we think.
Yeah,
they definitely, I mean, they're 3-3. Their offense is like a very respectable. They're seventh. Wow, they're seventh now. I think they were 10th last week. So yeah. I mean, fair.
That, I think, and I'm not making excuses. It's just the Bears loss was a monsoon. So what can you do? I mean, from a defensive standpoint, the Falcons, yes, I still think you should have held them way lower than that, but I think they're better than they thought. Broncos is just inexcusable. Broncos, the defense actually did their job.
Oh, the defense played phenomenal. It was their offense that blew it.
So I still think even with those losses, I think one's a monsoon, and the Broncos, they actually held them down to what you needed to hold them
11 points.
11 points. That it's really, in my mind, it's just that Falcons game that was the anomaly of just why couldn't you hold them down, in my opinion. So.
Yeah. To me, like them giving up 28 points, I can understand because they're so banged up on defense. I saw at one point they're missing 7 starters from their opening night on defense. Like the best defense in the world can't overcome missing 7 starters.
Yeah.
Fine. To only score 14 points and to be shut out in the second half against the Falcons defense that is still, even after last week, is only ranked 28th in DVOA. Somehow their offense DVOA is ranked 15th, which like to me seems incredibly
generous.
Generous. Yeah, there you go. That's the word. Like the top half, no way. Like zero chance. So anyways, to talk about this game specifically, if a fully healthy 49ers, I would pick them to cover and possibly win straight up, because I think like their defense, would cause fits to the Chiefs. But I just think that the Chiefs offense is too good, and they're still second DVOA, as you mentioned. I think they'll put up points against a banged up 49ers defense. And I, for the life of me, do not trust Jimmy G, even as bad as the Chiefs defense has been playing and is currently ranked. I just don't trust Jimmy G to get anything going on offense. So give me the Chiefs money line. The spread, I'll probably still lean the Chiefs, but I'm a little more nervous about the spread, I will say.
Yeah, I actually feel pretty strong about the Chiefs spread. So I am gonna say strongly, the Chiefs. I think -3 is a confident pick. I would say, in my mind, look, if let's say, with the 49ers injuries, they're riddled with injuries, that their defense isn't up to par where they should be, then, the Chiefs are going to score a ton. And in my mind, 49ers offense can't keep up with them, right? Let's say the defense, they get a couple key players back. Let's say Bosa's back, and they do kind of riddle, Mahomes in that offense. I still think they're still going to be able to put up, 21 points, 17 points. And in my mind, that maybe is enough.
It could be. It very well could be.
To if the Jimmy G's not spot on and having one of those better days, still could be enough to overcome them on offense. So in my mind, I just see the offensive differential, and yes, the defense is number 3 defense for the 49ers, but
just so banged up.
They're so banged up, and the offense is so good on the Chiefs that I just see them pulling away, maybe winning by 7. So I like the -3 where it's at right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. Like, I will say, if the 49ers can get Bosa and Trent Williams back, that would be massive. Like that could legitimately be the difference of like swinging, not necessarily a win, but a cover, getting those 2 players back. Like we saw what Bosa can do when he's healthy. He could just wreck a game. The 49ers offense has since they traded for Trent Williams, just hasn't been the same with him off the field. So I'm not necessarily confident that they return, but they definitely need them. I mean, like they're 3-3 and the NFC is still wide open because there's only 2 teams in the NFC, or 3, with winning records. The Vikings, the Giants, and the Eagles, I think, are the only teams with a winning record in the NFC right now. I'm pretty sure that's true.
Yeah. So look, guys, and depending on what your angle is, I mean, you can look at this in multiple ways, right? If you are just watching every piece of news, which I don't cling to every single piece of injury news, like, per se, but if you are, if you have some level of confidence that those, Trent Williams, Bosa might be back, then, you could say to yourself, well, look, now there's value right now on the 49ers money line, because that'll get smashed down with
or the spread,
news that,
either one. Yeah.
or the spread. Exactly. Or if you like the Chiefs and you're like, I don't care if Bosa is back or Williams is back, because I still think the Chiefs are going to win, then your angle might be, let's wait. And, you might be able to catch the Chiefs closer to, I don't know, maybe minus 125, money line or something, or you might get them at minus 2.5 later. So depending on what your angle is and what you're leaning towards, if you're not super confident now and you have a lean at, I think those are the things you can expect to happen over the course of this week, depending on the news. So
yeah, that makes sense. And there's 4 teams with winning records in the NFC. 4, not 3, 4. The 3 NFC East teams and the Vikings. So like the 49ers could legitimately still get a top 3 seed if they get their act together. So if there's any chance of them playing, I think they will. But
yeah.
But I don't know. I think Jimmy G is just, I've just seen too much bad play from him.
And like I said, I'm not going to lie. A few years back, when he was on the trading block, or the Patriots are trying to get rid of him, I was begging for the Bears to get him. And
he took him to the Super Bowl. So I think wouldn't necessarily say the 49ers probably regret that trade, but he was the hot commodity. I mean,
I really wanted him on the Bears. I thought maybe if you added him with our defense at the time, when our defense was better, I was just like, that's all we need. And I don't know if it would have played out that way at this point. So
who knows?
All right. Well, moving on to the Sunday night game. So, a game with a few question marks as well. We have the Steelers at the Dolphins. So right now, Dolphins are sitting at -7 on most books. Ooh, heavy juice favorites. They're like minus 305 on the money line.
Yeah.
Steelers plus 265 as the underdog. Totals around 44.5 at most books. So let me ask you this. Look, minus the atrocious game against the Bills that happened a couple weeks ago, until he was knocked out of the game, Steelers, you think, do they look a little rejuvenated with Pickett at the helm? What are your thoughts on how he looked in that game, last week?
I mean, he wasn't bad. They won, in my opinion, because of their defense, holding the Bucs only 18 points. And I will say, when Pickett came out, who iced that game for the Steelers was Mitch Trubisky, converting 3 separate 3rd and 10 or greater scenarios in the last drive of that game. How about that? I mean, talk about one of the most unlikely things to ever happen is Mitchell Trubisky coming in and doing that.
Mitch.
But
I will admit, I still have a soft spot for Mitch Trubisky. As bad as he was for the Bears, he was a nice guy. And
he seems like a well-liked. He seems like a nice guy. He just can't play quarterback. he just stinks.
God. He's kind of like a more palatable, less obnoxious, less annoying version of like Tim Tebow. He's like a more likable, like he's just like
Tim Tebow. Yeah, God.
Well, he's a try hard, nice guy. Like I don't know. There's nothing bad about him as a person or as kind of a locker room guy or anything. It's just God, he just can't throw.
He just can't
throw the damn ball. Like God.
Yeah.
But I like him. I have a soft spot for him still.
Yeah, I mean, he probably did the playoffs. You double doink away from who knows what could have happened with how good that defense was.
Oh God, PTSD from that, I swear.
Yeah, I will say I would be shocked if Pickett plays. The way the NFL is doing, like the way they're like really cracking down on concussions, I don't think there's a chance that Pickett plays.
My God, what an overreaction to that. And look, and I'm sorry because I know that could be interpreted the wrong way. I'm not saying that we don't be safe about player safety, but you come on. I think most people have to agree they've kind of went way overboard on the other end.
The typical NFL. It's just like, this scandal happened. We're going to aggressively go the other way to show people that we care about whatever said scandal is. And and then in a year from now, it's going to be different. Like it's the same thing. Like I think this was probably back in 2014 when they had like scandal after scandal with like Ray Rice and Adrian Peterson and Greg Hardy. They came out with so many of these like ads, like supporting domestic violence victims. And like, we have to stop doing this. And guess what? They don't do it anymore. They don't care anymore. It's like they only care about, they're only reacting.
Yeah.
About,
the ads kind of stopped, didn't they?
The ads 100% stopped. Those really awkward ads that they kept running out. And now, I mean, hasn't been a scandal in the NFL in a couple of years. So guess what? They don't care anymore. It's just like, they're just reacting to whatever scandal most recently happened, which like 12 years ago was concussions. And now it's concussions after like what happened with Tua. So they're just being like, yeah, like no matter what, if someone just thinks the wrong thing, they're going to get evaluated for a concussion and they're going to be ruled out of the game.
Yeah. And look, like I'm not trying to be an a-hole, guys. Like if someone gets a hard hit in the head, yeah, you take a look at it and you try to take that seriously. But like there have been a few cases, and I can't remember exact games, but there's been a few recently where someone like was just getting up from like being tackled and didn't even take like a huge shot to the head, and like they were a little wobbly, or someone even had like an elbow hit or something, and they're like looking at their elbow funny, and like they like literally have 7 guys huddled over a TV, and the cameraman has to show them and like, look, these 7 guys are checking to see if this guy has a concussion. I'm like, if you don't get hit in the head, how do you have a concussion, right? It's just like they're just going crazy now, just like you said, just trying to find any reason. And it's not even just do it then in the background, right? But they almost have to highlight it, almost like
they have to make a show.
The cameraman is on them. The cameraman is on the 7 dudes huddled around a tiny screen, and they're making such a circus out of it to be like, look at us, look at how much we care about player safety suddenly, right? It's just, oh my God.
Yeah, to me, like the best example is like Chris Olave did everything that you're supposed to do returning from a concussion. He hit every single checkpoint, and they still held him out. Where like previously to this, he would have played. And in Bridgewater, the first time he got hurt, what cleared his concussion test, and they still sat him out. They're just like, I mean, the Dolphins is even worse, the optics, because it was the same team with Tua.
Yeah.
But anyways, that was a long-winded way of me saying I think Kenny Pickett plays. My question for you is, doesn't play. Sorry, I meant to say Kenny Pickett doesn't play.
Yeah.
First of all, how fitting is it that Tua returns on a primetime game after we watched him like almost die on primetime? It's like some of these narratives that get created in the NFL, like Deshaun Watson's first game back from suspension just so happens to be against the Texans, that they like gave him an 11 game. Like how many 11 game suspensions have there ever been in the NFL? It's always been 10 games. And I guess if you want to use the argument, well, there's an extra game, so we're just having him miss the last 6. I think it's total crap. That was definitely planned, having Watson return against the Texans. And I don't necessarily think this was planned, but it's just funny how often these narratives get created with Tua returning. But so my question to you, does Tua come out of this game unscathed? I think everybody's going to be nervous every time he gets hit, every time he gets breathed on. Does Tua come out unscathed? Is he fine?
I hope so. I mean, I hope so. And I would say, yeah. I mean, I think, I hope he doesn't take an unnecessary hit to the head or get some other kind of injury. So yeah, I think so. I think, who knows? I mean, I think his offensive line is going to be hyper vigilant. Not that they're not every game, but like, I think extra vigilant to try to protect their guy. And if I were to, just knowing what's happened recently, I would pull a Tom Brady. And I would actually say there's no shame in that. Meaning the moment you see someone, you feel any pressure, anyone even near your personal space, yell
at the offensive line.
Well, no, just drop to the floor like Tom Brady does. Like just pull a Tom Brady. I mean, just how he just crumbles to the ground. I'm not even gonna bother taking a actual sack. I'm gonna sack myself and just, crumble to the ground. You know what I mean? And given what's happened to him, I wouldn't blame the guy. So I would say he should protect himself. And if he feels any pressure, I would just drop to the ground, man, and just don't even bother. And I don't think anyone would blame him.
Brady's played in all those games. It's not the dumbest thing in the world. Eli Manning was the same way. He would just self-sack himself. Quarterbacks just, I feel like, aren't wired to do that. I think it's legitimately smart. Especially someone like Tua, who's not a Jalen Hurts. He's not a Lamar Jackson. He's not going to break tackles like that. I agree with you. He should just go down. I thought you were saying He should pull a Tom Brady and scream at his offensive line.
No, I meant just crumble like just crumble to the floor.
Just crumble like an accordion down to the ground if you even get a whiff of pressure.
It's like you can use gravity and just beat the defender to the ground so that you're not going to take the
yeah.
Just crumble to the ground is what I'm saying. And I think if you do that, you can protect yourself somehow. So no, but back to what you're saying. Look, I think a lot of this depends on the Pickett situation. So in my opinion, look, if Pickett is not cleared to play and Tua is back, then yeah, I can see then, Tua being back and you have one of the most dynamic, wide receiver duos out there. It's going to be tough for the Steelers to keep up if you have Trubisky at the helm. And even as like okay as the defense is on the Steelers, I think that's just going to be rough to even keep up with them to any degree. I think if you have Pickett, not that we've seen a ton yet, but you have a better chance in my opinion, because I feel like he has a better ability to move the ball around. So I think a lot of it is going to ride on that situation. Is Pickett going to play or not? So
yeah, I mean, I am going into us thinking that he's not playing, and I agree with you. I mean, like even with the Dolphins having, they've literally started 3 different quarterbacks in 3 straight weeks. Tua, Teddy, Skylar Thompson, and then Thompson got hurt, and then Teddy came back in. Like they've lost 3 straight, but how many teams win losing 2 quarterbacks and are on their 3rd string quarterback? Yeah. And the fact that they still have the 6th best offense in the NFL tells me that they're still playing well, which they kind of are. I mean, like Hill had like an insane game last week, even with the weirdness going on. So even if Pickett plays, which I'm not expecting him to, I still like the Dolphins to cover this line. To me, the 7 points feels like Vegas is trying to lay a trap for everybody being like, wait a minute, the Steelers just beat the Bucs. The Dolphins have lost 3 straight. Why are the Steelers getting 7 points? To me, it feels like a trap line. And whenever there's a trap line, I'll always bite. I'll take the bait and I'll always bite. I just think the Dolphins have too many weapons. Assuming Waddle's healthy, because he hurt his shoulder. And last I checked, there's no updates. So assuming he's playing, I think if he's out, the line will probably shift a little bit, I would imagine, because like him and Hill are just so important to that offense. But I just think that the Dolphins have too many weapons. And and I'll take the Vegas trap line. I'll take the Dolphins -7.
Yeah, I'd go with the -7 as well for all the same reasons, like you said. So if he's not playing and Trubisky's going to play, it's going to be rough on the offensive side for the Steelers, honestly. So. All right. So moving on to Monday night, my Chicago Bears at the New England Patriots. Oh, my Chicago Bears, their decision-making is just mind-boggling.
Oh, man. I mean, we've gotten
mind-boggling.
We've gotten 4 Denver Broncos primetime games. This is now the 3rd Bears primetime game. I mean, I guess Chicago's a huge market, like you said last week.
Yeah.
But like, what are we doing here? Like scheduling Bears versus Patriots on Monday night?
I know.
I mean, come on. What are we doing here?
So the Patriots are -7.5 favorites at most books right now in terms of spread. Heavy money line juiced favorites. -345. Bears are +300 underdogs. Totals at a relatively low, depending on where you look, 39.5 to 40. So you can get either one, 39.5 or 40. So here's my question to you. Based on, without even looking at stats, I'm just asking you from your eye test. Is Bailey Zappi better fit than Mac Jones right now for the Patriots?
I have 3 questions for you regarding this game. Question number 1, who cares? I mean, really, who cares about this game? Question number 2, are the Bears even going to score in this game? Are they going to score at all?
No.
Question number 3, that's an actual real question. Is Bailey Zappi legit?
Okay, so you had the same question.
So I had the same question. I mean, I'm not going to lie and say that I've watched a ton of him. Because becoming the games going on during Eagles games, whatever. But like looking at his stats, looking at the highlights that I've seen, he seems to be like pretty mediocre with how good their defense is playing and how good their running game is. I feel like all you need is mediocre, which Mac Jones that's what he was supposed to be. But he had kind of become more like turnover prone and more like more of a risk taker than you expected with someone from his profile. Like his last game he played, he threw 3 interceptions. Mm-hmm. And Zappi, like last week, threw for over 300 yards, no turnovers, like on the year, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's 2-1. as a starter, and the one game he lost was in overtime against the Packers. Granted, we now know the Packers might stink, but still. So I mean, to answer your question, I don't know. I think the skeptic in me wants to say the more teams get tape on him, the more he's going to struggle. But it's been like 2.5, roughly 3 full games of tape at this point, like 2.5 whenever Hoyer went out in the Packers game.
Yeah.
Full, like, granted, 2.5 is not a lot of games, but that's enough tape to try and understand tendencies.
Yeah.
And you can't stop the run. It really doesn't matter how good the quarterback is as long as he doesn't make mistakes. And the Browns couldn't stop the run. The Bears can't stop the run. I mean, they're not as bad as the Browns, but they're not a strong run defense. At least last I checked DVOA.
Yeah.
So I think he might be legit. Anyway, to answer your question, I think he might be legit.
Yeah, I mean, and again, it's such small sample size, and my eyes were saying like, yeah, he's moving the ball pretty well, and then I got shocked. So here are some stats. And I'm not saying this makes Jones better, but I was actually a little surprised in my head just using. This is where the eye test differs than when you go look at the actual stats. I was like, look at him moving the ball around. He's slinging it all over the place, and then. Mac Jones's average depth of targets was 10.4 yards. Zappy's 6.7. So interesting right there, right? So Jones's rate, and this could be a flaw with risk taking, like you said. So this is interesting. Mac Jones's rate of passes of 20 plus yards was 20.6% to Zappy's 8.6%. So Zappy's just he's not throwing it deep. So
wait, sorry, say that stat again.
Jones's rate of passes of 20 plus yards.
Okay. I missed the beginning. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Passes.
So Zappy, it seems like even with that game, like, because I mean, this is coming from a tiny sample size, is that these were a lot of those kind of shorter underneath passes that are just safer. But so he accumulated a ton, it sounds like. So
yeah,
in the past couple games. So
yeah, to me, that kind of seems like what the Patriots offense wants to do. Like take the short passes, take what's there. You don't really have that great, like Devontae Parker's a fine deep target, but he's not someone that you really want to force the ball to. So I still think that when Mac Jones is healthy, it'll be his job. I don't think they're going to bench him yet. First round pick versus like a 4th round pick, Bailey Zappi. But if he keeps playing like this, he might get Wally pipped.
Yeah, where is it? Was it Western Kentucky? Where did he come from? Was it Western Kentucky?
It was a smaller school. I can't remember. I can look it up.
But I know you're right. He is 4th.
You're right. Western Kentucky. Yeah.
Good Lord. 4th round from Western Kentucky. Good Lord.
I know.
Good Lord.
That's the NFL, man.
Such a Belichick special. Belichick's wet dream. He's like, I got this guy who'll just listen to me and I can mold him into whatever I want.
Yeah.
Like Bill Belichick, man. Good God.
Patriots are better than I thought.
I'm surprised. I was pretty low on them this season. I just said there's just not enough talent for even Belichick to pull his magic, but he's finding the way to become middling. I thought they were going to be below average, but they're finding a way to stay middling relevancy. So it's interesting. But yeah, back to the game. I think this is going to be a brutal game for Justin Fields. I think when you are so, I think one-dimensional is generous. When you're so lacking
passing challenged,
when you're so passing challenged, here's the frustrating thing though, right? You're passing challenged, and I know I'm biased because I'm a Chicago Bears fan and I'm miserable right now. You're passing challenged, but then when you get to the red zone, you just don't run it. And when you're at the goal line, you don't run it. And when you're at the 3-yard line, you don't run it, right? I mean,
you can take Matt Nagy away from the Bears. You can't take Matt Nagy out of the Bears.
Apparently not.
Yeah.
Apparently not.
You can take him away, but his spirit lives on forever.
And, people are just like, well, what do you want him to do? Just run it nonstop? Well, right now, when you're at the red zone, I guess, because we're not.
Give it to Dave Montgomery. Give it to your best offensive player.
Yeah, we're apparently not doing anything right in the red zone, so you might as well just run it 4 times. I'd rather live with that at this point.
If you have the ball to 5, sneak it 4 times, and you'll probably score. Although, I mean, the pass, this was, I think, the first or second quarter.
God.
The pass that he missed to that wide open tight end, that's unforgivable. That is horrible. Like, that's a pass that me and you just lollipop.
Yeah, I know. So look, guys, I know this is a rudimentary breakdown, but I just think with Belichick being Belichick, his style of defense is we will take away your best player. And I don't even know what you consider your best player here on the Bears, but that's his style, right? We will take away
unit. I don't
know. we will take away your best weapon and make someone else beat us. So to be fair, then in this case, they're going to say we're going to take away Darnell Mooney, I guess, and then legitimately, then if it's not like he's been awesome this season, they don't even have the best connection. But you take away Mooney, then I don't know who and this Belichick will legitimately do this. They'll just double, but they'll put the safety over the top and say you're not going to beat us with the deep shot with Mooney. So will Fields be able to throw 8 times to Cole Kmet? Will he be able to throw a bunch of times to all the other receivers? And I'm just going to use the term other because they're not even relevant at this point. The other receivers in Cole Kmet. And Bill Belichick will take that all day. He's like, as long as Mooney doesn't burn us with the deep ball, they don't care if they accumulate a bunch of short passes the rest of the way. And we haven't even proven as a Bears team that we can't even do that and play kind of in that New England-esque style or like Aaron Rodgers with the Green Bay Packers, just getting short chunk passes. Not that they've been doing well this year, but it's, I just think this is going to be brutal for the Bears. I think Belichick's defensive style and his ability to match up versus what is a very half-dimensional team, I think it's going to be rough sledding for the Bears to beat the Patriots in this game.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if there's one thing that Belichick does well, he can confuse quarterbacks that don't see the game well. Yes. And Fields is physically gifted, but he's clearly in his own head. I don't know if that's coaching. I don't know if he just can't adapt. I mean, it's like another example of an Ohio State quarterback not being able to adapt to the NFL. So it could just be he just can't get NFL systems down. But like when you watch him play, he's missing reads. He's double clutching. He's tucking the ball. Like he clearly is just in his own head. And again, I don't know if that's coaching, whatever it may be. And if there's a coach that you do not want to see when you're in your own head and you're seeing ghosts, just ask Sam Darnold. It's Bill Belichick.
Yeah. No, and I don't think it's you and me just making some hot take statement, because I think the latest stats I saw, like I was really rough, and I think I've been unfair in the early part of the season saying we did nothing to upgrade our O-line. The O-line is going to be a disaster. The latest, I mean, it's been a couple of weeks. I haven't checked, but like as of week 3, I saw that Fields was getting a lot of time to throw, actually. Like he was averaging like 3 seconds or more than 3 seconds, which is actually pretty up there for time to actually throw while you're in the pocket. That narrative has to go away now, that it's like the lack of O-line protection, or we didn't upgrade the O-line, because that's what I was harping about in the offseason.
See, to me, that's more of a sign that Fields is just holding the ball too long. Not necessarily that the O-line's been performing well, just that he is just not getting rid of the ball quickly. Because if you look at DVOA, their pass protection, literally 32nd, their offensive line.
Yeah. And that's the thing, though. It's like, but knowing that you can hold it for that long, right? It's not like they're I mean, it's not like, statistically, it sounds like they're bad at pass protection, but it's not like just from a raw second standpoint, it's like he has time. He's got time, and he's just not. His decision, in my opinion, like you said, his decision making is poor. He's just holding onto the ball way too long.
He clearly is like his reads are just not there.
Yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem. So, look, for me, I don't see any other way. It's going to be the Patriots pulling out a win. It's just a matter of how much are they going to win by, in my opinion. So, yeah,
to me, like I'm with you. I think the Patriots win and cover. The only concern I would have to that point spread is, if Bailey Zappi isn't legit, is this just a game that ends like 9-6 or something? You know what I mean? Like, is it just like there's no, like, at no point are we actually thinking that the Bears could win, but can the Patriots just not get anything going on offense? Because Bailey Zappi is actually a 4th round rookie quarterback who isn't as good as he's been playing.
I think as long as there isn't some fluke, you're going to see Stevenson just run amok on the Bears.
22nd ranked. Run defense.
Their run defense is pretty bad. So I think Stevenson's going to get the run game going. And if he does, then that'll open it up for Zappi to throw those 6-yard passes. So.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's fair. I mean, the total's so low, but we just saw this last week. We tried to bite on a total that was low. We got burned.
Yeah. We did. So. All right. Well, let's shift over into the last segment of our show, our best bets. And I guess we can go back to calling them best bets after a bit of a turnaround instead of just bets. So
I think the good juju we got from you eating that chip, I think, is what's going to propel us for the rest of the season. Because since you ate that chip, we've been pretty good. I mean, I hit the same game parlay on Sunday night. You hit the plus 850 anytime touchdown score on Monday night. We both went 2-1 on Sunday.
So maybe we could say eating the chip was like an exorcism. We basically exorcised some demons and some bad juju from eating that terrible chip. So
exactly. I think so.
All right, so let's run through our top three, and then we'll also talk about if we have any backup picks. So I'll kick it off. A couple of the games we already talked about, so I'm going to be brief here. First one, I'll be super brief. You already heard my reasons, and I know things can shift based off injuries. So if injuries, are something you're going to watch and you are too nervous, go ahead and wait. But I'm just going to take the Chiefs -3. I just think their offense is too good, and that's going to be the differential in this game. That even if Bosa comes back, Williams comes out, yes, that's not going to help my cause, but I feel confident enough to lock it in that I'll take the Chiefs -3 as one of my picks for this week.
So I can't remember if I referenced this when we were recording or before we started recording, but one of my best bets that I locked in was Chiefs money line. My question is, does that count? Because I got it at -148, but I put to win a unit, so I risked 148 to win 100. It's obviously probably the heaviest juice that we've had at this point. So if it's too heavily juiced and it doesn't count, I do have a backup.
No, I'd say, look, I mean, in the spirit of, I'm assuming you got it because it was slightly positive EV at the time, right? And look, our sponsor is OddsJam, and we're about finding value. And I think people don't realize, I think people get too enamored with the minus number and they go, well, it's minus, you're juiced, you're a loser. That's really not how it works. If you got to look at, implied odds and your capping. And if you see value where you consider it to be, positive expected value, that's what this is all about. So I think that's close enough. And if it was positive EV, we just say yes. And then, so let's count that as, one of your best bets. So,
okay, then yeah. So Chiefs money line, we're both on the Chiefs. The next one in a game we didn't talk about, give me the Bucks -10. They're playing against the Panthers. It's a big number. This Panthers team is an absolute complete joke, just a total train wreck. Even they make the Cardinals look like they're run like the freaking 3 out of 4 Super Bowl winning years Patriots from the early 2000s.
Oh God!
I don't know if it's going to be Phillip Walker. I don't know if it's going to be Baker Mayfield. I don't know if it's going to be Sam Darnold. What I do know is that I don't care. Give me the Bucks -10.
I like it. It's just a total dumpster fire at this point. That.
I mean, it's like it's Urban Meyer level 2021 Jags bad.
If you don't hit it, that's one where you can live with it. You know what I mean? It's like it makes total sense on paper. That I can't hate that one at all, even though it's a huge number. I don't hate it. I really don't hate it. I just don't know what they're gonna do, honestly, on the other side of the ball with the Panthers. So
and the Bucks just lost. They're definitely gonna if there is a team that's gonna run it up after having just lost, it's 100% the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Tom Brady.
Yeah, this will be a Fournette 2 TD game or something like that. So,
yeah. I mean, he's the only one that scores.
All right, I'll be brief with this one. This is another one we talked about. My third one we didn't talk about, so I'll spend more time there. But I am going to take the Patriots -7.5. And I know I said I screwed myself in game 1 by betting against my Bears, and they won in the monsoon game. But I can't help myself here, guys. So Bears fans, you can thank me when the Bears win and they pull up a huge upset here, but I just can't help myself. I know it's over a key number. I think Belichick and his defense and the run game and establishing the run with Stevenson on the Bears run D that has not been great. All those things combined. I like this. I'm going to take Patriots -7.5, and you can get that at -110 on Caesars. Almost everywhere else it's at 8. But right now they still have it at -7.5 on Caesars. So I would take it there. So
I like it. The last one for me, so there's 2 that I'm debating between. I will settle on the Tennessee Titans versus Indianapolis Colts over 41.5. As bad as the Colts offense has been, they're at least putting up points. I mean, I guess last week they put up points. And the last time these 2 teams played, which was earlier this year, the total went over this number. And getting it over that key number of 41.5, I think is very important because like it's that the 42 number, like the 28 to 14, as we just saw. And every other book prices this at 43.5. So like 2 full points lower, getting it below that key number. So backing a Colts game to go over, I think is a little bit scary, but they seem to have like kind of figured some stuff out. And actually I was wrong. The last time these two teams played, it was 24-17. So exactly 41. But I think that like the Titans seem to be back on track. The Colts seem to be back on track. It's a low total. I'll take that to go over.
All right. So here's the interesting thing. I think I've seen a lot of cappers online, like through articles and stuff, on bigger media platforms. They seem to like the over on that. And then Football Outsiders.
I did see that. It scared me off a little bit.
They have projections totaling at 38.1, and their pick confidence on that is high. So if you get this one, I'm just saying, Matt, that you are smarter than you're smarter than a computer. You're smarter than a bunch of servers crunching all these algorithms. So just know that if you win this, you are smarter than Football Outsiders algorithms. I
would like to take credit for that, but I found this bet using another computer generated algorithm, and it was positive EV on OddsJam. So in reality, it's two robots against each other. Who is the superior robot? OddsJam or Football Outsiders?
We'll see. We'll see what happens. Robot versus robot. So
yeah.
Okay. So my final one, my third one, I am gonna go. Oh, and I know I just keep going back to this well, and they keep killing me. I don't care.
Bengals?
No, Ravens. I'm going Ravens. What?
I guess the Bengals you got, but yeah.
I'm going to torture myself one more time, and I'm going to go Ravens -6.5. Oh, -105 on DraftKings. And here's why. Okay, there's a specific reason. I'm not just doing it just because it's the Ravens and I like them or whatever. It's just the Browns. I mean, they're not terrible. So I'm not hating on the Browns. I'm just saying the Browns run D is what is atrocious. Okay.
And the Browns are kind of losing it too. Like they've lost 3 straight now. They've
starting to unravel. Yep.
58 points combined their last 2 games. I'm pretty sure something like that. They're starting to lose it.
So their rush defense, DVOA, okay, is 30th. And you know what the Ravens are. The Ravens excel in the rush game. They are 3rd. Okay. So if you have the 30th rush defense DVOA, and like you said, they're kind of starting to unravel. The games that they have been better at is when it's a close game or they're in the lead, they can ball control and they can run the hell out of the ball too, right? So that's the narrative and that's the script they need. If you're playing, I think the Ravens are not so great anymore on D, but their offense is still solid. So their offense is still solid. So if the Ravens get up to an early lead, that's going to be what unravels the Browns in this game. And if you're not ahead and you're playing from behind, I think Jacoby Brissett, I like Jacoby, actually. I actually like him a lot. But I don't think he's the quarterback you want when you're playing from behind. Okay. I think in a close game or you have the lead, more than capable, I trust the dude. But if you're down 7, you're down 10, you're down whatever, that's where it's going to be rough. So as long as the Ravens can get an early lead, I think they're going to have, a lot of ball control, time of possession advantage. And then the Browns will have to play from behind, and it'll be rough when you can't stop the run game of the Ravens. So for me, those are the reasons why I'm going to go with the Ravens -6.5 as my final third bet for this week.
I like it. I mean, like the Ravens have had double-digit leads in all 3 games that they've lost.
That's my main concern. That's my main concern.
To me, that's like a sign in favor of the Ravens. Like if there's a team that's not going to be able to come back on them. I mean, I guess you would have thought the Giants, but they imploded against the Giants. Like Lamar Jackson turned it over twice in the final minutes of that 4th quarter. Like,
I know.
Talk about a team that keeps winning these lucky games, like the Giants, just somehow keep on winning. But I'm with you. I like the Ravens. They were on my list. But I did pick them in my picks against the spread. The only other game that I had that I ended up not taking was the Packers-Manders over 40.5.
Okay.
Like if this is mostly if the Packers are going to do anything this season offensively, they have to show it in this game. They've just lost 2 straight to the Giants and Jets. Their offense has been dreadful. But if there's a team that you can do it against, granted, I would have said this against the Jets. So,
yeah.
I mean, you take that for what it's worth. But the Manders have a bad defense. Rodgers, just if he's going to get it going, it has to be this game. And on the other side of the ball, the Manders starting Taylor Heineke, maybe he like provides some juice. His first start. Not that I think he's any good. I also think that they should have started the rookie, just like see what you have in the rookie. But anyways, I don't need to go too much into it. That was the one I had left on the cutting room floor. Packers Manders over 40.5.
Gotcha. Nice. All right. I didn't have any others. Those are my 3 for the day, but I got one last question. We'll make it quick. Am I crazy? Is it me just hating the Broncos, or, should I be tempted into considering the Jets, as much as they're not really a great team either, in my opinion, but the Broncos suck so much. My only concern would be the Broncos pass defense versus the Jets, but would you be tempted to take the Jets at all versus the Broncos? Or there's no value there, you think?
I mean, you will not catch me giving the Broncos 3 points. The only reason why I picked them last night, Monday night's game, is because they were getting 5 points and ended up being correct. We actually did our bets did pretty well. We had the under and we had the Broncos.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
But like the spread might have changed. Okay, it did change. When I last checked, the Broncos were 3-point favorites. And I just said nay. I
think it opened up at -3.5 even.
And now it's down to a pick 'em on some books. Caesars has it at -1.
Oh geez, it's moved that much. Oh my God.
So now, at this point,
now I wouldn't touch it now. Then
3.5, I would have said go for it. I'm not touching it now. It's just it's too much. Like I think the Jets are frauds. The Broncos. I mean, Russell Wilson's after every game, an injury that he plays bad, an injury comes out. Oh, he pulled his hamstring. He got a PRP injection on his lap.
Yeah,
just accept that you stink.
Did you see at his press conference when after the most recent loss, he gave his little, post game
Broncos
conference
country
thing. Let's ride.
Yeah, but he says it with tears coming down his eyes.
He said it in the most pathetic.
Most pathetic. Oh yeah, it's great. It's like he knows. He's like, I created this moniker that I say at the end of every interview. But
I know.
But it's so at this point, he's like, well, I have to keep doing it because I can't give up now.
Good Lord. All right. Well, any other final comments for this week, Matt?
Go Phillies.
Go Phillies. Go Phillies. Let's go. So thank you again, guys, for joining. We appreciate the support. So please, if you're listening and you haven't subscribe to this podcast. Go to our YouTube channel, the Sweat the Bet YouTube channel. We're now on a separate channel from our sponsor, OddsJam. So check out the OddsJam YouTube channel, the Sweat the Bet YouTube channel, and check us out for our live stream. So turn on all your notifications, and we'll see you guys next week. So thanks for tuning in, guys.
All right. Thanks, guys.